Catchy word 266. Not make a dent in it. Are you the type of person who gets work done quickly and easily? Sometimes we may work on a task for a long time, but still not make a lot of progress on it. In this episode, Cassie and Andrew teach two expressions you can use in situations where you're stuck or not making progress. These expressions are to not make a dent in something and to go round in circles. In this lesson, Cassie and I will teach you two expressions that are great to know and are good ones to add to your vocabulary. They are both about not making progress. So when you're working hard toward achieving a goal, but you're not actually moving forward or getting close to achieving that goal, then you can use these two expressions. They're about that kind of situation. So the two expressions are not make a dent in something and to go round in circles. Of course, in this lesson, we'll break them down for you and give you some more usage details and share some more examples with you also. So let's get started with the lesson. And the first expression that we are going to teach you about is to not make a dent in something. It's an expression in the negative form, to not. So to not make a dent in something, and dent is spelled D-E-N-T. Cassie, why don't you go ahead and break this one down for us? The way I want to break this down is by talking about a car. So if you're driving a car and if you hit something going at a slow speed, your car isn't, severely damaged, but it gets a dent. It's when the metal bends slightly forward. So when we use the expression to not make a dent in something, it means that you're not able to do something in such a way that you can't even scratch the surface. You can't even get started on that project. Something is happening to block you from doing even the most basic thing. Yeah, so maybe you have a big job to do and you feel like you only accomplished 1% of that job. Then in that kind of situation, you could say, I didn't even make a dent in I didn't even make a dent in it. It's just another way to say you didn't make any progress. It's just another way to say. It's just another way to say you didn't make any progress or you didn't make any impact on the work that you're trying to do. It's just another way to say. It's just another way to say that. It's just another way to say that you didn't make any progress. And Cassie, I think this word is a good one to know, and it's one of those like higher level words. It's maybe not a word that we use every day, but I think it's very natural. And of course, in the right situation, it's appropriate. I was thinking, Cassie, we could play a little game here, and that is, let's go back and forth. Let's go back and forth and try and list things that you can dent, things that are dentable. I like this, okay? So you already said car bumper, so I'm gonna respond with the car door. You could dent your car door, if you open the door and you hit another car, maybe you will get a little fold in the metal of your car door. So I'm gonna say car door. Okay, you can dent a can. If you drop a can of soup on the floor, the lid could be dented. You could also dent the side of really any metal surface. I'm thinking that I was worried the other day that I was going to put a dent in my washing machine because I parked my bicycle right beside my washing machine. And if I don't take my bike out of that little spot beside my washing machine carefully, then it's possible that I could put a dent in the side of it. It's possible that I could put a dent. It's possible that I could put a dent. It's possible that I could put a dent in the side of it. In the side of it. In the side of it. It's possible that I could put a dent in the side of it. So you could dent any kind of metal appliance as well. Appliance. Yeah, exactly. I'm pretty sure you can dent anything that is made out of a thin sheet of metal or maybe even a thin sheet of plastic. Yeah, so maybe we could summarize it here because Cassie, I'm gonna forfeit this game because I'm tapped on all of the things I can think of that you can dent. Congratulations on the victory. But maybe we could say that you could put a dent or you could dent any kind of soft pliable surface where you can make an indentation, right? Indentation into it. So anything that doesn't break or rip, but you just get a little indentation instead of a break or hole, then that is a dent. So now that we really understand this word dent, and we know that the full expression to not make a dent in something means to not make any progress toward finishing your work or achieving your goal. I think now we are ready to listen to a couple of example conversations. So Cassie, let's do example conversation number 1 right now. Okay, let's do it. What did you do today? I spent all morning cleaning my house and reorganizing my room. I spent all morning cleaning my house and reorganizing my room. I spent all morning doing chores around the house. I spent all morning studying English. I spent all morning reading this book. I spent all morning walking my dogs. I spent all morning washing dishes. What did you do today? I spent all morning cleaning my house and reorganizing my room. My back is killing me right now. That sucks. But your place must look great now. Not even. I didn't even make a dent in it. I didn't even make a dent in it. I'm far from finished. 아직 끝내려면 멀었어. I'm far from finished. Well, if you need some help tomorrow, just let me know. Tomorrow. Well, if you need some help tomorrow, just let me know. I could stop by and help you for an hour or two. No, I should be fine. But if I do need the help, I will text you. Let's break this example down. So, we just heard a conversation between two friends, and one of the friends is reorganizing her room and cleaning her house. And she was complaining that her back is sore because she's been working so hard all day. But unfortunately, even though she put in a lot of effort and was working really hard toward cleaning her house and reorganizing her room, even though she put in a lot of effort and was working really hard toward cleaning her house and reorganizing her room, she's far from finished. She still has a long way to go. She still has a long way to go. She still has a long way to go. She said that she didn't even make a dent in cleaning her house and reorganizing her room. So that means like maybe she's done 2% or 3%, just a very small percentage of the total amount of work that needs to be done. I can feel her pain, Andrew. I feel like anytime I clean, I'm never putting any dent in my work. I feel like anytime I clean, I'm never putting any dent in my work. It just goes on forever. It just goes on forever. I think a lot of people will sympathize. I think a lot of people will sympathize with you here, Cassie, in that it feels like whenever you're doing chores around the house that you never make a dent in them. You do the dishes and then like 3 hours later, you eat another meal and you have to do the dishes again. It's just a never-ending cycle. It goes on forever. It just goes on forever. It just goes on forever. It's a never-ending cycle. It's just a never-ending cycle. It just goes on forever. It's just a never-ending cycle. Exactly. Well, shall we listen to example number 2? Yeah, let's do it. I feel so ripped off. 나 바가지 쓴 것 같아. I feel so ripped off. I feel so ripped off. Why is that? Well, last week I spilled Well, last week I spilled a glass of red wine on my sofa and I made this huge stain. So I bought this stain remover cleaning product that I saw advertised on TV that promised it can remove any stain from any surface. Let me guess, it didn't work very well? Yeah, it didn't even make a dent in the stain. Yeah, it didn't even make a dent in it didn't even make a dent in the stain. It didn't even make a dent in the stain. It didn't even make a dent in the stain. It didn't make a dent in the stain. It didn't even make a dent in the stain. It didn't even make a dent in the stain. It didn't even make a dent in the stain. It didn't even make a dent in the stain. There's still huge red spot on my sofa. Take it back for a refund. Take it back for a refund. Take it back for a refund. Yeah, I'm going to. All right, in this example conversation, two friends are talking, and one, she's not really talking, she's complaining. She's got a big stain on her sofa, spilling a glass of red wine, and she buys this cleaning product to remove it, and it is not effective at all. 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 Effective. It is not effective at all. It doesn't even make a dent in the stain. The stain is very much still visible. The stain is very much still visible. So, we can visualize a red wine stain. I think most people can visualize that. It's really, really obvious and very, very prominent, right? If you spill that on your sofa, you're like, oh my gosh, I messed up, right? I messed up. I messed up. I messed up. I messed up. Mess up. I messed up. I messed up. It's a big, big problem. So she bought this stain remover, but it didn't make a dent. It may be only removed like 1% of the stain, and the other 99% remains. So that sounds like false advertising to me, Cassie. Yeah, those are the worst. The worst. All right. 거짓 광고. First, false advertising. False. Alright, so guys, why don't we move on to the second key expression for today's episode? And it's another one about when you're putting in effort and you're working toward achieving a goal. When you're putting in a lot of effort and time toward achieving your goal, but you're just getting nowhere. You're getting no result. You're getting nowhere. You're getting no result, and you're not getting any closer towards finishing or achieving your goal. You're not getting any closer to you're not getting any closer toward. And this expression is to go round in circles. To go round in circles. Cassie, I think we could say also to go round in circles. But to me it feels more comfortable and normal to say normal. It feels more comfortable and normal to say to go round in circles. So guys, it's your option. You could say to go round, or you could say to go around. But both of them have essentially the same meaning, and that is just to work hard but make no progress. Cassie, when you hear this expression, what image pops into your mind? What image pops into your mind? When you hear these expressions, Cassie, when you hear this expression, what image pops into your mind? What image pops into your mind? Image. What image? What image do you pop into your mind? Okay, when you hear this expression, what image pops into your mind? I wonder if we have the same visualization for this one. I wonder if we have the same visualization for this one. It reminds me of a merry-go-round that you can't get off of. You just go round and round and round. Okay, that's interesting. For me, I think of a hamster in a running wheel, and they are putting in a lot of effort. They are running really fast, but they are not moving anywhere, right? They are just staying in the same spot. I like that better. So actually, I think this is the perfect image because the hamster is putting in effort and trying to go forward, right? But they just don't realize that they are stuck in a wheel that's just spinning round and round, and they're not going forward at all. Exactly. All right, guys. Well, I think we should listen to some example conversations, and through the conversations, we will get a better feeling for the meaning of this expression and how we can use it in a real life situation. You will get a better feeling. All right, guys. Well, I think we should listen to some example conversation, and through the conversations, you will get a better feeling. You will get a better feeling for the meaning of this expression and how we can use it in a real life situation. So let's take a listen to the first example conversation right now. Let's do it. How's the apartment hunt going? Not so well. Not so well. 잘 안 되고 있어. How's the apartment hunt going? 아파트 알아보는 거 잘 되고 어떻게 됐어? Not so well. 잘 안 되고 있어. Not so well. I feel like I'm just going round in circles. First, I find a place that sounds great. First, I find a place that sounds great. Then I make an appointment to check it out. Then there's always something wrong with it. It smells weird. The walls are a weird color. The rent is too high. The faucet leaks or something like that. Well, I just heard today that Jeff. I just heard today that. I just heard today that Jeff is planning to move out of his place. His apartment is amazing. You've been there, right? Well, I just heard today. Well, I just heard today. Well, I just heard today that Jeff is planning to move out of his place. His apartment is amazing. You've been there, right? Yeah, his place is gorgeous. I'm gonna give him a call right now. I'm gonna give him a call right now and see if I can possibly take over his contract. This is gonna be great. Let's break this example conversation down. So, in that conversation, we heard about a woman who feels like she's just going round in circles trying to find an apartment. So, that means, so in this conversation, we heard about a woman who feels like she's just going round in circles trying to find an apartment. So that means she's working really hard toward trying to find a new apartment to live in, but is making no progress. So she keeps on repeating this kind of cycle where she locates and finds an apartment to check out. Then she take a look at it and there's a problem with that place. So then she has to go back to the start and begin again. Has to go back to the start and begin again. Go back to the start and begin again. Find another place to check out, make an appointment to see it, and then there's a problem with it, and it's just going round in a circle. She's not getting any closer, even though she's putting in a lot of effort and time to try and find an apartment. Exactly. This actually just happened to me recently when I was looking for an apartment in Thailand. Exactly, this actually happened to me. Exactly, this actually just happened to me. Exactly, this actually just happened to me recently when I was looking for an apartment in Thailand. I think it is pretty common actually in this kind of situation go around in circles looking for an apartment hunting looking for an apartment hunt looking for an apartment hunting looking for an apartment the apartment hunt as we call it. How's your apartment hunt? How's the apartment hunt going? Looking for an apartment hunting, as we call it, is not fun usually. It's not fun. Well, let's take a listen to example number 2. Yeah, let's do it. Did you make a decision about next quarter's advertising strategy during the meeting today? Unfortunately, no. We debated about it for hours, but we just kept going around in circles. Doesn't management want you to present your idea by next week? Yeah, so that's the problem. Everyone on the team is getting pretty stressed out, and we're going to meet again tomorrow, and hopefully we'll be able to come up with a plan then that everyone's happy with. In this example conversation, two co-workers are talking about the last meeting. This meeting, they are trying to plan some sort of advertising strategy, but it is just not going well. Everybody in the meeting is just debating back and forth, over and over, going round in circles, and they can't make a good decision. Yeah, and this is really common situation to use this expression in is when you're in a meeting that's very unproductive, right? Maybe many people have opinions or different thoughts or different feelings, and you can't come to a consensus. You can't agree on one final resolution or one final outcome. and then everybody feels frustrated, like, oh, we just wasted all this time. We spent all this time debating, and we got no result or no conclusion. So, yeah, that kind of situation, you could say you're just going round in circles, and it's really really common in this kind of meeting or debate or any situation like that. To summarize what we've covered today, we learned two expressions about not making any progress towards achieving your goal. The first expression was to not make a dent in something, which means to make very little progress toward achieving your goal. And the second expression was to go round in circles, which means to waste time and energy toward achieving a goal but making little to no progress toward completing it. That brings us to the end of this lesson. Talk to you next time. Why do you have so much peanut butter in your pantry? My brother Why do you have so much peanut butter in your pantry? My brother works in a peanut butter factory, so he sent me a huge box of peanut butter 2 months ago. Really? 2 months ago? But there are still so many jars left. There are still many jars left. Yeah, I don't really like peanut butter, so I haven't really made a dent in it yet. Do you want to take a few jars home with you? Sure, I love peanut butter. I can't believe Professor Roberts assigned 200 pages of reading for next week's class. I know all of that along with the homework for my other classes. I know all of that. I know all of that along with the homework for my other classes. I don't know when I'm going to have time to finish it all. I don't know when I'm going. 언제 끝날지 모르겠어. I don't know when I'm gonna have time to finish it all. I read it for an hour last night, but I didn't make a dent in it. I still have 190 pages to go. Wow, you're kind of a slow reader. Wow, you're kind of a slow reader. You're kind of a slow reader. I'm a slow reader. I am kind of a slow reader. 난 책 읽는 게 좀 느린 편이야. I'm kind of a slow reader. I'm kind of a fast reader. 난 책 읽는 게 좀 빠른 편이야. I know what I'm gonna do. In this episode, Cassie and Andrew introduced the expression to go round in circles, which means to continue to do something with moving forward or making progress. This expression usually means that someone is stuck at a certain point in a task. Sometimes this expression is also used to talk about a conversation when two people don't properly understand each other and they continue to say the same thing over and over. In this situation, one of the two expressions might say, I think we're just going round in circles. Have you finished the novel you've been reading? Have you finished the novel you've been reading? You've been writing? 이거는 쓰고 있다. Have you finished the novel you've been reading? Not yet. I can't figure out how to write a satisfying end to the story. 만족할 만한 결말? A satisfying end to the story. I keep writing an ending, then deleting it because it doesn't fit. Did you talk with your supervisor about the problem you're having at work? It must have been so frustrating. It must have been so difficult. There must have been so annoyed. annoying 이렇게. They must have been so annoying. They must have been They must have been so busy. They must have been so frustrating. They must have been so happy. They must have been so 뭐가 있을까? They must have been so sad. We tapped on. This is the last time. Empathize, relate to. Hey, how did you do on last week's test? Hey, how did you do on last week's test? I got a D. I can't believe it. I studied for that test all weekend and still did poorly. I studied for the test. I studied for the test all weekend. 주말 내내 공부했는데. I studied for the test all weekend. All day, all night, all morning. All morning? 아까 뭐였지? 그치? All morning. 하나는 아침 내내. All morning, all afternoon. I studied for the test. I studied for that test all weekend and still did poorly. 그런데도 성적이 나빴어. 그런데도 and still did poorly. Oh no, I feel your pain. Last semester I spent a whole week A whole week. 주말 중에네. A whole week. All week. I spent a whole week preparing for a midterm and preparing for a midterm. Preparing for a midterm and still failed it. I guess sometimes tests are just a bit too hard. I don't know how I'm gonna explain it to my parents. Is your brother coming with us to the basketball game tonight at the high school? I don't think so. He locked himself in his room. He locked himself in his room and won't come out. Why? What happened? He gave a presentation at school, but he got so nervous. He ended up running out of the class midway through his presentation. He ended up running out of his class midway through his presentation. He told our parents that he's never going back to school again. I feel his pain. I'm terrible at public speaking too. Every time I have to do a presentation, I feel like I'm gonna freeze up. Every time I have to do a presentation, I feel like I'm gonna freeze up. Every time I have to do a presentation. Every time I have to do a presentation, I feel like I'm going to freeze up. I'm gonna freeze up. 얼어버릴 것 같아. Can feel your pain.